Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily download and install the Visual Studio 2022 on your Windows operating system. Especially, I want to talk about the requirements for installing the Visual Studio 2022. So let's get it started. If I open up the Google and search the Visual Studio 2022 requirements, then I have all of this information and the links available in the Google. At the top, I have the docs.microsoft.com. This is the official website of the Microsoft. Also, I have some other quick tips and tricks about the requirements over here, and you can see the hardware requirements or other links. Now, let's get started working with the first one, Visual Studio 2022 system requirements, and get inside the Microsoft official website. As you see, the Visual Studio 2022 or the Visual Studio 2022 has three main versions: the Enterprise, the Professional, and the Community. Later, I'll talk about how to install the Visual Studio Community Edition, so don't worry about anything. And also, we have two main types of the requirements for installing the Visual Studio on the Windows, and it is the supported operating system and also the hardware requirements. As you see over here, we can download and install the Visual Studio 2022 on all of these operating systems. The first one is the Windows 11 and this version. Also the Home Pro, Pro Education, Pro up to the end version. Then I have the Windows 10 version 1909 or higher, including the Home Professional up to the end. Also I have the Windows Server 2022, then the Windows Server 2019, Windows Server 2016. So I can easily install the Visual Studio 2022 on all of these operating systems. And don't forget, we have the notes over here, and it is the list of unsupported operating system. The Windows 11 Home in the S mode, and the 32-bit and ARM operating systems up to the end. You know what? We don't need to memorize all of this, and we can easily get access to this list by quick searching in the Google. So don't memorize all of this, and I want to talk about this for your deeper understanding and better result. Now if I scroll down, I have the hardware list, and at the top I have the CPU specification, and it is 1.8 GHz or faster, and the 64-bit processor, something like the quad core or better. And if I take a look at the taskbar, right click over here and come to the task manager and come to the performance, and here I have the CPU or central processor unit. Currently I have the octa-core CPU, and this is the speed of my CPU. And after that, we need to get access to the next properties, and it is the minimum memory or the RAM. So if I take a look, the minimum of 4 GB of RAM is required, and also the recommended memory or the RAM is 16 GB for better results and to increase the performance. So if I take a look at the task manager, and this is the memory, you can see it is up to 16 GB, and it is the DDR and DDR3 indeed. So it is great and amazing for working with the Visual Studio 2022. Then I have the next one, and it is the hard disk space. You know what, if you want to work with the Visual Studio, it's a really great idea using the SSD hard drive because of the increasement in the performance. And as you know, the speed of the SSD hard drives are really amazing and great. So if you want to increase the performance of the Visual Studio, don't hesitate to use the SSD hard drive. Also, you can use the HDD hard drives, but the performance will be reduced. So the minimum required space is about 1 GB up to 210 GB. Wow, it's really great and amazing. 210 GB. But it's not necessary to use this number. Why? Because the size of the Visual Studio or the required size depends on the features that you want to install during the installation of the Visual Studio. So the typical installation requires between 20 up to 50 GB of the free space on your hard disk drive. And don't forget to use the SSD. Then we need to use the appropriate video card drive or the display drive. And the resolution or the minimum resolution indeed is 1366 by 568. And the best resolution for working with the Visual Studio is the Full HD resolution. And it is about 1920 in the 1080 or the Full HD. Then you can start working with it easily and quickly. Also, we need to consider all the matters that is not important matter. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. I enjoyed it a lot. Now we learned the most common requirements of the Visual Studio for installing on the Windows drive. But what is the next step? In the next step, I want to show you how to download and install the Visual Studio, but it needs a lot of time. So stay with me with the next part of the video tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily download and install the Visual Studio 2022 on the Windows 10. So let's get started. First, I talked about the system requirements of the Visual Studio 2022. In this video, it's time to talk about how we can download and install it. So if I open up the Google and search the Visual Studio 2022, then I have the visualstudio.microsoft.com. This is the official website of the Visual Studio. So if I click on that and get inside the web page. In this web page, we can get access to the latest versions of the Visual Studio and anything that we need to work with it. So currently I have something like this interface or the design for the Visual Studio. Maybe in the future you can see another web page. So don't worry about anything and just click on the, for instance, free Visual Studio or download the Visual Studio. Also, I have the Visual Studio 2022 over here. And if I take a look at the links over here, I have the download Visual Studio button. And if I hover on that, I have 3 different versions of the Visual Studio: the community, the professional, and the enterprise. So the first one is the community edition, and it is great for the personal usages, and also it is completely free. And currently I want to work with the Visual Studio only for the tutorial or the education, so I can easily and freely get started working with it. And the next version is the professional. So if you have a little money and you want to work with the Visual Studio, so the professional is great for you. And if you want to spend a lot of money and you have the enterprise or the business, this is great for you, the enterprise edition. As I told you, I'm the teacher or the instructor here, so I don't want to spend any money and the community is great for you. So let's click on this easily and quickly. After a couple of seconds, everything will be downloaded automatically. So my download is done and I can get access to my downloaded file over here. And you can see the VS community up to the end. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now my file is ready to be installed. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to download the Visual Studio 2022 on your Windows 10. So let's get started. First, I talked about how to download the Visual Studio installation file. Now this is, and its version is the community, as I told you. So if I click on that, after a couple of seconds, I have this window. So before installing it, don't hesitate to watch the Microsoft license agreement. Then you can see more information about the privacy and something like that over here. After reading this, you can come to the continue and click on it. So you need to be patient for downloading the required files of the Visual Studio installation. Let's be patient. After a couple of seconds, up to, for instance, 1 minute, I have the main interface of the installation. So this is the new window and you can close this, for instance. So in this window, you can see the currently installed Visual Studio over here. As you see over here, I have installed the older version 2017, also 2019 on my current Windows. So if you want to install the new version, you can easily do it. Come to the available. Then the Visual Studio Community 2022 and click on the install. So this is, and let's be patient. And this is the same window like the starting one. In this window, I can manage which features I want to install on my Visual Studio. So I have same tabs over here, the workloads, individual components, language packs, and installation locations. Let's talk about the first one, the workloads. The workload indeed is the group of features or the features by the group that you want to install for your Visual Studio. Over here, I have the different technologies that are available and I can easily click and install all of these one by one. So if I take a look at the first one, it is the ASP.NET and web development. If you want to create the website using the ASP.NET technology or the JavaScript or the HTML, this is great for you. You can easily click on that. So this is. And based on your selection, we have some other features that are dedicated for this workload or this selection. Also, you can expand or collapse that. And at the top, I have the Visual Studio Core Editor. Indeed, these are automatically selected and include everything that is needed for running the Visual Studio itself. And this feature is common or the default features that should be installed at your computer, and you can change it. But you can change the features of the ASP.NET, for instance, to install or not. And also, if you want to work with the C# or the Visual Studio or the F# or with the .NET or the .NET framework for creating the WPF, Windows Form, and the console application, don't hesitate to click on this checkbox. So after clicking on that, I have the .NET Desktop Development and all of the features inside it. If I take a look, yes, this is the .NET Desktop Development, and all of these are available for you. Also, you can customize one of these options. For instance, select this or unselect this. It's not important matter. So personally, I prefer to leave all of this by default. And if I collapse that, so up to here, I have the Visual Studio Core Editor, the ASP.NET for creating the website, and the .NET Development for working with the C# with .NET WPF, and the .NET Technology for creating the desktop applications or the Windows Form and also the console applications. You can see the appropriate and required information over here under the title. And also, if you want to work with the mobile application and develop the application for the mobile using the Xamarin. And based on these selections, we have the total space required over here. And also, if you want to develop the application for the smartphone or the mobile applications, then you can select this checkbox. Then you can create the applications for the iOS, the Android, and the Windows using the Xamarin technology. So I have the appropriate over here, the mobile development with .NET, and all of this available for creating the mobile or the smartphone applications. And also my total space is changed up to 11 gigabyte. Then if you want to work with the Python, you can easily select this. If you want to work with the Python in the Visual Studio. Also, if you want to work with the Node.js, select this. And indeed, all of these are available separately and individually for the Visual Studio. You can add or remove these features one by one into your Visual Studio. And also, if you want to work with the Universal Windows Platform, then check this checkbox. Or if you want to work with the C++ for creating the desktop applications for the Windows. So you can select this one and check this checkbox, for instance, and the space is added also over here. Then if you want to develop the application for the mobile using the C++, don't hesitate to check this checkbox. And also, if you want to create and develop the game using the C++ for working with the Unreal Engine or the DirectX directly, something like creating the game engines, then check this checkbox. And also, if you want to work with the Unity, don't hesitate to check this checkbox. And after that, if I take a look, I have all of these options. And finally, if you want to develop the application for the Linux using the C++, don't hesitate to click on this checkbox, something like this. Now, if I take a look at the results over here, I have all of this. At the top, I have the common features, and it is the kernel or the common features of the Visual Studio itself. Then based on my selections, I have the ASP.NET, .NET Desktop, mobile desktop development, mobile development with the C++, game with the C++, game with the Unity, and also the Linux. Then based on these selections, I need up to 25 gigabytes of the free space on my hard drive. So let's come over here and let's uncheck the unused checkboxes. The first one is the Linux. I don't want to work with it. And also if I scroll up, the game with the C++, I don't want to work with it. And also the Unity. And don't forget the simple question. Is it necessary to check all of this? No, never. And you need to select this based on your need. And I quickly talked about the required features and the applications over here. And also I don't want to develop the mobile application using the C++ and uncheck this one. So until here, I have the Visual Studio ASP.NET for creating the web applications using the ASP.NET, the .NET, and it is the desktop application using the C# web.NET, and the mobile using the XAML, for instance, or the iOS applications using the C# and the appropriate technologies. And finally, the desktop application using the C++. And as I told you, you can uncheck or check these options based on your needs. So if you want to only work with the ASP.NET, check only this one. And if you want to work with the C# and web.NET, only you need to select this. And also if you want to work with the mobile applications, don't hesitate to check this. And finally, for working with the C++, you need only this one. But personally, I prefer to install all of this because I need this version of the Visual Studio in the different courses. So I have another option, and the default location is available over here. You can change it, or it's better to leave it by default. Also, I have two other options: install while downloading or download all then install. It's completely obvious. If you want to download all of these files, then install. So download all, then install. And if you want to download one part, then install it and continue until the end. Select install while downloading. Personally, I prefer to use the download all, then install. And this is. And also, what about another options over here? If I take a look at the individual components, these are the components that are selected based on your selection over here in the workload. So if I take a look at that, for instance, the .NET, all of these are selected based on my selections in the workload or these options. And also you can see all the features and the tools. Also, you can check or uncheck one of these options if you need to customize these features. But personally, I leave this by default because the default is really great. Then I have the language pack, and you can easily change the language of the Visual Studio installation. By default, it is English. You can change it based on your needs and language. And finally, I have the installation location. So you can change the default location of the Visual Studio installation, including the Visual Studio IDE. So it is by default over here and will be installed inside this. And you can see something like this. And my drive C is my Windows drive. Then the program files, Microsoft Visual Studio version, and the community. Then I have the download cache, and every downloaded file will be copied over here. So we need it later for upgrading or for editing the installation. I strongly recommend you don't change this one or even this, and leave all of this by default. Also, I have a really great checkbox over here: keep download cache after the installation. Indeed, the Visual Studio will download the required file based on your selection over here. Then save it inside this location. So if you want to keep these files, don't hesitate to check this one after installation. And if you uncheck this, every file after installing of the Visual Studio will be deleted, and it's not really great idea because sometimes we need to update or upgrade or change the installation features. Then we need to download all of these files from scratch. So for preventing any unexpected errors in the future, I strongly recommend you to check this checkbox and keep your files safe in the cache folder. So I have all of this information over here and also the total required space, and everything is ready for me. Now it's time to install it. So come over here and click on the install. And based on this selection, first all of my files should be downloaded, then the install will be started. So let's click on the install. Okay, excellent. Now my download is started and I need up to 4 GB of the files that should be downloaded. And it needs a lot of time, so we need to be patient. And as I mentioned previously, under this one, I can see all the versions, and it is the Visual Studio 2017 and 2019. That's all of these are currently installed on my Windows 10. So this is the new version and it needs a lot of time, and the only thing we need is patience. So stay with me. Welcome back. Now everything is downloaded automatically and you can see the checkbox over here, and also the packages or the features are installing one by one, up to 608 features that should be installed. So installing all of these is really time consuming, and the only thing we need is patience, patience, and patience. So stay with me. Welcome back. Congratulations, the installation is done successfully. Now it's time to see the miracle. So come over here and click on the OK. As you see over here, I have installed the Visual Studio Community 2022, and also I have some other buttons over here. So if I click on the launch, then the Visual Studio will be executed. But as I mentioned, don't forget to restart your computer and your Windows before launching or running the Visual Studio 2022. Also, I have the more button over here. Click on that, and here I have the repair. If you want to repair some files on your Visual Studio installation, then this is great for you. And also if you want to uninstall the Visual Studio or remove it completely from your Windows, then click on the uninstall. Also I have other options that currently we don't need to work with them. Also I have the modify button over here. If you want to add or remove some features to the Visual Studio installation, then don't forget to click on this button, the modify. And the same window is available over here as I mentioned during the installation of the Visual Studio. You can easily add or remove some features, then click on the modify and everything will be updated based on your changes. So come over here and close this one because I don't want to edit anything in my Visual Studio. Now let's come over here and close this one and also come to this and search the Visual Studio. So I have the Visual Studio 2022, right click on this and pin to start, and also I can right click over here and pin to the taskbar. Also you can get access to the uninstall from here, the uninstall. So let's pin to the taskbar. Now I have the Visual Studio, the newer version over here, and put it beside the 2019 over here exactly. So 2017, 2019 and 2022. Also as I mentioned, you can come to this and write the Visual Studio. So this is the newer version, right click on that and click on the uninstall and let's see the result. So come over here and come to the Visual Studio. Where are you, Visual Studio? Also you can write the Visual Studio over here and let's try my chance and let's see the result. So I have the Visual Studio, the newer version, and click on that. So the same window over here to uninstall, remove, or anything that you want. Now let's be patient and let's cancel this and close this one. Also you can click on the change and the uninstall. Let's see the results. So I have the Visual Studio over here, the 2022, and also if I click on the start, then I have the new version of the Visual Studio. Congratulations, we did it. Now everything is ready for me to get started working with the Visual Studio 2022. But don't forget, this tutorial is based on the common features and the standard controls and features and codes of the Visual Studio using the different technologies. So you can follow my tutorials with the older version of the Visual Studio, something like the Visual Studio 2017 or 2019. And don't forget, the version of the Visual Studio is not important matter. The only thing is important is your proficiency, is your effort, and is your eager to create your own world with the Visual Studio and the different technologies. It's really important and tricky, not. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to quickly talk about the .NET Maui. So let's do it. The .NET Maui stands for the .NET Multi-Platform App UI. The M from here, then the A and the UI. .NET Multi-Platform App UI or the Maui. By the Maui, you can build the same application for different devices and different platforms. For instance, suppose you have this simple application in the .NET Maui, then you can export that to the Windows operating system, the Mac OS, the Android, and after that the iOS. Finally, we can export it to the Tizen. What is the Tizen? Tizen is the OS of some smart TVs of the Samsung, and we can use also for that. And in the next essay, let's talk about the requirements for working with the Maui. In the Maui, you need to use the C# for writing the codes of the Maui. And the second one is the XAML. The XAML indeed is the language for designing the UI of the application. So we need to use the C# for the code and also the XAML for the UI or designing the interface of the application. And there is another question. Is it necessary to know the C# and also the XAML? No, it's not necessary, but you need to do your best if you don't know anything about the C# and the XAML, and you need to watch the videos multiple times. And after that, if you are the Xamarin Forms designer in the Visual Studio, then you can start working with the Maui as the update for the Xamarin Form. And the newer version of the Xamarin Forms is the .NET Maui. So the .NET Maui is really great and amazing if you wanna work with the different platforms and the different OSs. Well done. Now we learned more about the .NET Maui. What about the next step? In the next step, I'm gonna show you how to easily start designing and creating your own first application using the .NET Maui. Stay with me. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to start creating the first Maui application in the .NET. So let's do it. This is the Visual Studio, so let's start that. You can use this version 2022 or the newer version. So don't worry about the version of the Visual Studio. Over here, I have the recent projects, and also I have some other options over here. The first one is creating directly the project. If you click on it, then you can start selecting the project type and the project template and create your own project. But I prefer to use the next method, and it is continue without code. So let's click on it. In this window, I have the Visual Studio. So come to the file, then the new and the project. Both of these are similar. So the same window over here. Over here, I have the template of the project, and here I have the project type. You can come over here and search the Maui easily and quickly. This is the Maui, and we have all of these options over here. And also we can come over here and let's click this and come to this one, the language. I want to work with the C#. So let's select C#. Then I want to create the application for different platforms. So let's select all platforms. And over here, if I scroll down, I have the Maui and click on it. As you see, I have 1, 2, and 3 different project types. But my favorite one is the first one, .NET Maui app by the C# for Android, iOS, Mac OS, then the Windows and the Tizen. So let's select this and come to the next part, and over here. In this window, we need to configure our project. So let's come over here and say Maui app, or I can say my Maui application or the app. Also, I have the location to change it. And after that, I have the solution name. You know what? The solution is something like the folder that has one or more projects inside it. I have the folder in the solution name. And after that, I have the project inside this solution. I can add the SN at the end, and it is a kind of the name for the solution. SNS stands for solution name. Do you want to place the solution and project in the same directory? No, I don't want to do that. So uncheck this checkbox. Now I have the solution over here. As you see in the C users up to this one, my Maui app SN. Then inside it, I have the project, and project name is my Maui application. So come over here and come to the next one. In this window, we need to select the framework of the project. At the beginning, I have the .NET 7, then I have the .NET 8, or .NET 9, or .NET 10 in the future. So let's select the .NET 8. Note, this is the simple project, and it is a kind of tutorial project. So the version of the .NET is not important matter. But personally, I prefer to use the newer version. Come over here and come to the create. After a couple of seconds, everything will be automatically generated. Well done, now my project is generated automatically. Come over here and close this one. And at the beginning, I have the Solution Explorer. Let's close that toolbox and close everything. Now I haven't any window over here. So come to the view. At the beginning, I have the Solution Explorer. And you can see the Solution Explorer over here. The Solution Explorer is indeed the project manager. So I have the solution at the top. Then inside it, I have one project. Also, I can add another project to this solution. So come over here and you can see the project over here. And if I come to the view, and in the view, I have other windows, something like the toolbox. You can see the toolbox over here. And after that, I have the properties window. So this is the properties window, and come over here and let's come to this and close this one. And after that, if I right click on the project and get inside the project folder, open folder in the file explorer. So I have the folder, and this is the project folder. Indeed, most of these are over here. For instance, the bin and object. Currently, I can't see the bin and object because these folders are hidden in this project. Also, I can come over here and click on the show all files. Now, if I take a look and I have the bin, you can see the bin over here, then the object, then the platform, and this is the platform and the resources. Also, I have the app.xaml. You can see the app.xaml over here, main page, and the Maui program. And this is the Maui program. You can see it over here. Also, I have some other sub files over here. You can see the app.xaml.cs, exactly this one, the app.xaml.cs, and also something like the main page.cs and main page.xaml.cs. And if I come one folder up, so I have the solution over here. This is the solution. And inside it, I have the project folder. And if I come to the top, then I have the solution folder. And inside it, I have the dedicated folder for my project. Well done. Now I have the solution over here. And inside it, if I take a look, I have the my Maui app.cs project. You can open up your project by this or the solution itself. You are completely free. But before doing anything, it's really a great idea to build the project to be sure everything is working perfectly. So come over here and inside the output window. So this is the build process. And also if I come to the view and get inside the output folder. So this is the output window and you can see it over here. If you lost it, you can get access to it from this menu. So it's building and this is the first build, so it takes a lot. So come over here and now I can come to this and close the application. So come over here and this is my project. I can directly open it up and let's see the result. Now the project is restored from scratch. And after that, let's talk more about the project files and folders. At the top, I have the project, then I have the dependencies, and you can see everything is based on the .NET 8.0. I have the Android, iOS, and after that the Mac, then the Windows. So all of these are indeed dedicated to the Windows, and also all of these are dedicated for the Mac, then for the iOS, and also the Android. You know what? We don't need to memorize all of this. Indeed, I want to talk more and deeply about the files, and it is only for your more information. Don't memorize these matters. Now come to the properties, and in the properties, I have this file, then I have the platform, and in the platform, for each platform or the OS, I have dedicated folder. For instance, for the Android, I have the Android files, and all of these are dedicated for the Android. Suppose you want to publish your application on the Android. So you need to put your codes over here inside the Android. And after that, I have the iOS. You can see the default files for the iOS, the Mac, the Tizen. The Tizen is the OS of Samsung smart TVs. So come here and come to the next. And the last one is the Windows operating system. And after that, I have the resources. And in the resources, we can add the icons, the fonts, images, splash styles, and all the files. So these files are common between different platforms. And after that, if I take a look, I have the app.xaml, the starting point of the application. And it has two main parts, the XML file. And if I take a look over here, I have the code, and you can see the code should be over here. And after that, I have the app shell, or the second starting point of the application, and inside it I have the codes. So these are the codes that we can customize them. And after all of this, I have the main page, and this is the default page for the new project in the Maui. And after that, I have the Maui program, and we have some other matters over here. Well done. Now we'll learn more about the structure of the Maui project. As I mentioned, don't memorize all of this. Eventually, I'll talk about the most common folders and classes and the files during the tutorial. So come over here and select this and close all the tabs like this. Now my application is ready for me to start working with it. It's time consuming, so let's talk about it in the next video. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to quickly talk about the overall structure of the XAML page in the .NET Maui. So let's do it. Firstly, we talked about how to create the Maui project, and also we talked about the overall structure of the files and folders. In the next step, it's still a great idea to talk more about the structure of the XAML file or XAML page. If I select the main page, double click on it, this is the XAML file. You can see it's something like this. Its extension is .xaml. And if I right click on this, get inside open containing folder. And here I have two files, mainpage.xaml, and this is the design of the page. And the next one is mainpage.xaml.cs, or the codes for running and adding more features to the main page. So the CS is code, and also the XAML is the design of the page. And we have something like this right here. This is the XAML, and exactly this one, the design. And if you want to write the code, then we have another one, and you can write the C# code over here. So let's select the XAML first. If you come over here, and this is the scroll view, and collapse that. As you see, I have the content page, and inside it I have the scroll view. So we call this as the tag, opening tag like this, and come over here, come to this part, exactly to this one. And after that we have the closing tag, and the closing tag is this. So we need to add the slash and the closing tag like this. And inside the content page I have some other elements, and we call this as element. So if I expand this, as you see over here, I have the vertical layout, and great. And inside the vertical layout, I have all of the other XAML elements, including the image, the label, the button. And if I take a look, these are closing tag. So each tag or each element in the XAML should has the starting tag. This is, and after that the closing tag. So we have the closing tag like this. It's a really important matter. So we have the content page, the scroll view, and inside it the vertical stack. And if I take a look, for instance, this is the image, and there is another method to add the closing tag, and it is adding it over here, exactly the image and closing tag like this. So we can put all of this over here in the same line, and there isn't any problem if you do that. So add the space between this, and like this, add all of this in a single line and close the tag. And it is possible to do something like this, but don't forget to add the space between the properties. So the image has some properties and values. For instance, the source of image, this is the property, and this is the value. Height is property, and this number is value, easily and quickly. So let's undo all of this, and it looks better, something like this, multi-line properties. So I have the label, for instance, to show the text, and it has the text property and the value, the style, and the other properties over here. In addition, we have the button, and each button has the name, the text, the click event, and also the horizontal option, and many other properties and values that I'm going to talk about the most common properties and values in the future. So the XAML structure is really simple and straightforward. Opening tag and the closing tag. Or if I take a look, this is opening tag, and this is the closing tag. And in the next step, I can come over here, and I can start writing anything that I want. For instance, I can come over here and open the tag and say label. This is the label, and close the tag by adding the slash, then automatically it will be closed. And inside it, I can come over here and add the next one. For instance, I can say the text property of the label, and say hello world. And after that, come over here, press enter, and say, for instance, the height. So this is the height, and I can easily assign the name to that. So this is really simple and straightforward. In addition, I can come over here, get inside the toolbox. If you can see the toolbox, or if you close it by mistake, so come over here, come to the view, and here I have the toolbox. And inside the toolbox, I have all of the available elements for the XAML. For instance, I can come over here and add the button. So this is the button, add it over here, say, or something like that. And after that, I can come over here, come to the toolbox, and add, for instance, the entry image label. It's very simple and straightforward. Just drag and drop over here. And let's say image, or something like this. But currently I can't see the result in the real world. So currently I'm going to talk about the structure of the XAML. Later in my upcoming tutorial, I'll show you how to run this application and see the results. And in the next step, let's talk about the properties window. So if you select the tag or the next line, come to the properties, and I can see a list of predefined and default properties from the top to the bottom. For instance, this is the text property, so I have the text property over here. And if you write something like this inside the properties window, then the result is added and updated over here. What do you mean? I have the text color, for instance, and you can easily select this, come to this part, and start adding and assigning the color like this, for instance. And you can see the text color is added over here. And also I have the text color property. So you have two options. First, you can write the code and tags manually, one by one. And the second one is using the properties window. If you lost the properties window, don't worry about anything. Come to the view, and here I have the properties window. So I have it. For instance, if I select the image and come to the properties, over here I have all the properties dedicated for the image. And if you come, for instance, and select one of these properties, something like the rotation, I can change it to, for instance, 12 or something like that. Now the rotation will be added to my image, and if I take a look, come over here, and you can see the rotation is added over here. So this was the quick tour about the XAML, and for the final tip and trick, come over here, come to the application folder, and I have the XAML over here, and as I mentioned, I have the main page, so I can come over here and open this by the notepad, but don't change anything inside it to prevent any unexpected errors. So I have something like this over here. And also for the next one, I can come to this, open with the notepad. So I have the notepad over here. Well done. Now we learned many great tips and tricks about how to work with the XAML file. This is practical and amazing. Go ahead, open up your project and start working with the XAML file. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start running the Maui application in the Windows operating system. So let's do it. First, we talked about the structure of the XAML and also the CS file over here. So I have the user-defined codes over here and also the design of the page over here. So let's run and let's see the result. To do that, I have all of the options over here. But if I right click over here, I need to get access to the Android, debug, standard, and text editor. And also if I take a look over here, I have the view, then the toolbars, and all of the available and required toolboxes over here. And after that, click on this button and come over here. I have the framework, and as you see, I have Android, iOS, Mac, then the Windows operating system. All of these are based on the .NET 8.0 framework. So let's select the Windows because I want to run the application in the Windows. And if I click over here, for instance, and let's click on this one more time, after a couple of seconds, everything will be executed and will be built automatically. Also, you can come over here and get inside the output. So if I come to this one over here, then come to the view and the output. This is the output that we can see the progress of the application build event. So come over here and come to this one. Also, let's close this and get inside the application. This is the application. And indeed, if I resize it up to this one, great. Now let's select this and dock it over here and resize it up to this part easily and quickly. Now I have all of this that creates something like this. So if I come to, for instance, the hello world, and you can see the hello world over here. You can see the hello world up to this one. And also I have the button, and if I scroll down, I have the button over here. All of these codes generate the button with the click me, and let's change the click me, and after a couple of seconds, as you see, it's changed. And also if I scroll up, I have the age, So this is the edge, and if I take a look and come over here, I have the edge exactly here. I can easily select this and delete that like this. Then the edge is deleted, and also I have another button and it is saved, as you see over here exactly. So I can come to this and change the color, for instance the back color or the border color or text color. Now let's come over here. This is the background color, and select one of these colors, for instance the beige. So it is changed to the beige, and also I can come over here and add the next one, for instance the color, and it is the text color. And also I can come to this and let's write the red. So the red is for the text color over here. It's very simple and it's straightforward. And finally, if I take a look, I have the label over here, and as you see, it is the hello world. But if I take a look over here, I have some other tools, and this is, click on this one. And if I take a look, this is the XAML like preview. And if you click on that, so I have something like this over here. And if I resize it, and this is the result. So let's come over here and hold down the control key on your keyboard and scroll your mouse for bigger size like this. If I click on this one, for instance, so the label is selected, and also if I select the image, click on it, the image is selected. I can easily select any control over here inside my XAML code. For instance, suppose I want to change the text of this label. Easily click on that. This is the label, and start changing the text, and the change is successful. And let's add 1D. It looks better now. And after that, I can select the image, and the image height is 185. I can easily change it to 300, and this is the result, the bigger image. And also I can come over here, and this is the label. You can see the label is starting from here up to this one. So I can select the label itself completely, come over here, select the label and delete that. Now I haven't any label at the top over here and also over here. So this is the power of the live preview. In addition, I can come over here and select this button and select elements. I can select any elements that I want over here and indeed over here easily and quickly. And after all of this, I have another button, and it is the live visual tree, and click on it. This is the live visual tree, and if I hide it or close that entirely. So at the top I have the application. Let's click on this. Great. I have the application window, then the shell item, and this is the main page and a scroll view. So I have the scroll view over here, and if you click on this small button, then the scroll view is selected. And also I have the button. You can see the button inside it, and click on the button inside the next one, image, and also I have the label and the label over here. Or I can come over here, select this and click on this one, for instance. So the image is selected over here, and if you click on this, the image is selected in the XAML file. And also I can close this, and easily I can get access to this using this one, show in XAML live preview, and also the visual tree. And this is the select element, and you can select any element over here. And if you click on this, it looks great and amazing. Well done. Now we learned how to run the application on the Windows, and also we learned more about the live preview and the visual tree. Go ahead, open up your project and start working with it. Thanks, and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start working with the Android operating system in our .NET Maui project. So let's do it. First, we talk about how to run and execute the application in the Windows mode. So we have the Windows machine over here. And as I mentioned, check this checkbox. In addition, we have all the matters and all the operating systems, something like the iOS, Mac, and the Android. The most common is the Android. So you can select this one. And after that, you have a list of available Android devices. Or you can come to the Android emulator and check the available Android devices. So the question is how we can add the Android device over here. It's really simple and straightforward. Just stay with me. To do that, come over here and right click on this and select the Android. Or you can come to the tools, then the Android, and I have these menus. The most common is Android Device Manager to add or remove the Android devices. So click on it, or you can click this button. Both of these are similar. In this list, I can see the available and currently added devices, something like the Nexus 4 and the API 33. I added this machine previously, so let's do it from scratch. Come over here and come to the new. I want to add the new device. In this window, we need to assign the properties of the Android device. At the top, I have the name that is automatically generated by these options. But let's leave it and come to the base device. You can select the base device or your own device for faster results and also to these settings. And if I take a look, for instance, I want to work with the Nexus 4 and the Nexus. And this is only for changing these properties and Android device properties. So you can use this or the newer versions or all the versions. For instance, you can select this or this. Indeed, let's select the Nexus for my favorite one because it is really fast and straightforward. Also, you can use all the devices. In the next step, I have the processor. Indeed, I want to work with the 32-bit and also 64-bit processor. So let's select that. And finally, and the most important is this one, that you're gonna select the Android version. So let's click on this. And you have all the available Android operating systems from the Android 5 up to the Android 13 and Android 14. And you can see the 14 over here. But if you want a faster device, I strongly recommend you to use the older version, something like the 9.0, Android 9.0 or the API 28, and select this. And if your computer and your system is powerful, you can select the newer version, something like the 13 or 14. You are completely free to do anything that you want. Currently, my system is not too powerful, so I'm gonna select the Android 9.0 and come to this. In the next step, do you want to start working with the Google APIs, something like the different services of the Google? Yes, check it. And do you want to work with the Play Store? No, I don't want to work with it. You know what? My project is only the simple project to learn and to teach the basics of the .NET Maui. So these informations aren't too important matter, or you can select the older version, something like the 5.0. As I mentioned, because this is only the tutorial project. And after that, come to the properties based on your devices that you are selected over here. So the most common, as you see, is the LCD or the display height, then the display width. It looks good and amazing. Then I have the RAM size or the memory of the Android device. I'm going to use 1024, and this is only 1 gigabyte of the RAM because my computer has up to 8 gigabyte of the RAM, and I can assign a lot of memory to my virtual device. So let's select 1 gigabyte of the RAM. And after that, I can come over here and click on the create. And after a couple of minutes or up to 1 hour based on your network speed, it is creating. You know what? At the first installing and adding the new device to the device list, it takes up to 1 hour because it needs to download, for instance, 1 gigabyte of the data for the selected Android device. But if this is not your first adding the device, then it's really fast like me. So I have added the 1 GB memory, the processor, and the Android version up to this one. Now I can easily start this. At the first time that you're gonna start, it's really time consuming. Maybe it takes up to 10 minutes. So you need to be patient. But currently this is not my first time, so it is a little bit speedy. So come over here and set it up to this one and this docket over here and resize this part. If I take a look, resize it up to here. So I have the emulator over here and it's loading, and also I have some other properties and tools over here. This is something like the power button, and if you click on this, the display will be turned off. And also if I close it, you need to use this close button at the top entirely. So let's be patient. And before I start working with this, let's talk more about another feature and the tool over here. Come to the tools, and here I have the Android and Android SDK Manager. If you want to work with more details and add the device with more details, you can start working with the Android SDK Manager. So it is over here, Android SDK Manager. So I have something like this, and currently I installed the Android 33 and the appropriate one, this one up to here. And also currently I have the Android 9. So based on my installed devices, I have something like this that is checked. So if you select anything in the Android device manager, and this is my Android device manager. So based on your needs and your added operating system, we have the appropriate and dedicated tools that will be downloaded automatically. So currently, if you want to work with the Visual Studio, we don't need to work with this one. So let's close it easily and quickly. Now I have something like this, the Nexus 4 with the API 28 or the Android 9. Welcome back. Now my Android device is running completely, and you can see it over here. In the chain, come over here and come to this part and check the framework and set it to the Android. And also come to the Android emulator and select your favorite emulator. Currently it is Nexus 4 with the API 28 or Android 9.0. So it's very simple, and it's for exactly this one. Also, you can use the next one, and it's very simple, and let's come over here and select the Android emulator and select this from here. After doing that, I can see the selected device over here. So this is my Android device, and it's time to run it and check the results in the Android emulator and run. At the first building of the application, it takes up to 20 or 10 minutes. So you need to be patient and sit back and relax. And if you got something like this error, and don't worry about that. Do you want to continue? No. So I have this strange error on the error list. Don't worry about that, and just come over here and rebuild your project, running it, and let's see the result. So come to the output and let's check the process. It's working. So found device, and it did this device. It's time to deploy the application or transfer the application on the Android device. So it's working, and I'm really happy that I can see the splash screen of the .NET. So the result is this, and I can start working with it. It's really great and amazing. And come over here, click on this, it's working. And in addition, I can change the codes and also the design. If you want to change the design of this, you can easily come over here, and this is my button, indeed this button. And if I take a look at the save at the top, I can name it, for instance, save as. And after a couple of seconds, it's done. And also it is red, I can say the black. And this is the black or Alice blue. So it is like this. I can see it because it's really light color, and say the dark blue. This is the dark blue color. And also I can change this one to the yellow, for instance, and it's working perfectly, yellow. And after that, I have the image. I can reduce the size up to 150, and it is smaller. Then I have the hello world. And as I mentioned, you can come over here, come to the debug, then Windows, and I have all of the required menus over here. For instance, the live visual tree and also the XAML live preview. This is the XAML live preview. And if you select, for instance, this part, so the result is this table, and I can start working with it. Or even if I select the image, and the image is selected over here. But this is enough for us, and currently we don't need to use this one. So easily close it out. Now it's time to change something inside the code. So come to this, and I have the main page, and this is the C# code. I can easily come over here and change, for instance, this part and say T. And also over here, add some T's like this. And currently I have the hot reload over here. And if you want to change something in the code, you need to hot reload the application. And this is the hot reload button. Or you can come over here and check the hot reload on file save. So you have two options. First, you can save it, then everything will be reloaded over here without building the application. And this is the result. You can see it over here. And or even you can come here, let's add 1T and come to this button and click on it, or expand this and click on the hot reload. So you have two options. And based on my experiences, it's a really great idea to check the hot reload on the file save. It looks better. Also, you can use this hot reload, and let's come to this and add only T. And if you come over here, save it, then hot reload will be available. And this is the T, and it's working exactly based on my changes over here. So don't forget, if you want to change something in the C# code, don't hesitate to hot reload. And if you want to change something over here, you can do it. And immediately after changing the XAML code, we have the reflection on the emulator or the Android device. This is really important matter. And if I take a look and stop the application, you can come over here one more time, and then get inside the framework and edit on the Android. And also I can change the Android type from this or this one. And don't forget, in any condition, if you can't run the Android emulator, don't forget to start working with the Windows machine. This is another method for running the application, but inside the Windows. And also if I come over here and click on this, so I have something like this, the new icon that is added for our project, My Maui app, exactly this name. So if I run, I can see the result, but don't run directly the .NET application over here. I just do it for your deeper understanding of the application. And come over here, click on this. As you see, it is the old version, and come to this one easily. Stop this. Great. Now I can start running the application for the second time. So it will be faster, as I mentioned. Now let's run and let's see the result. So it's running, and I can come over here, click on this and get the change over here. And after that, I can come over here. Let's close this application by stopping. Let's see the result and come over here. And I can easily come to this one and close the emulator entirely. So it's saving. And if I take a look over here, and as you see, I have the stop button already over here. It means you need to wait until stopping the application. So I can come over here, and without running the emulator, I can come over here and click on this. Then everything will be automatically executed by the Visual Studio. And if I come to the output, and let's see the result. So it's executing, and I have something like this over here. This is the second method for running the emulator. At the first build, it's really time consuming, and it can be up to 10 minutes. But in the next building of the application, the process is really fast and easier. So it's running without any problem. Now let's stop and let's see the result. Well done. Now we'll learn how to run the emulator and change the emulator type. It's really practical and amazing. And don't forget, in any condition, if you can't run the emulator, you can start working with the Windows, and the same result is available for you, the Windows machine, or come to the framework and select the Windows 10 over here. Go ahead and open up your project and start working with your own emulator. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to start working with the label element in the .NET Maui. So let's do it. First, we talked about how to create the new project and also how to start the Android emulator and the Windows application. So in this video, I want to talk about the most common and most famous element in the .NET Maui, and it is the label. To do that, come here, and currently I have the vertical stack, and inside it I have all of the elements. I can easily delete that. And after that, I have only the scroll view over here. Currently, I don't want to work with the layout element, so let's delete that. Later, I'll talk about how to work with the layout element. Now I have only this one, and it is completely empty, and we haven't anything inside it. So let's come over and come to the toolbox. If you haven't the toolbox, get inside the view, then the toolbox over here. And after a couple of seconds, everything will be reloaded over here in the toolbox window. But currently the application is running, so I can see the tools inside the toolbox and stop it. Now if I take a look in the toolbox, so I can get access to all of these elements and components inside the .NET Maui. But it's not necessary to talk about all of this. So I'm going to talk about the most common and most useful elements in the .NET Maui. And the first one is the label. So this is the label. Drag and drop over here in the project. You have two methods. First, drag and drop from the toolbox. Then I have the manual method. I can easily come over here, come to this and open the tag and name it the label. So this is the label and start working with it and close the tag. The most common is the text property, to assign the text to this. So you can write it manually over here or come to the properties and start working with the properties over here. So come to this, and to start my tutorial, write the text. Then I have the text over here. I can name it, for instance, hello world, and this is the hello world. Now let's come over here, and if I take a look, it's added over here, as you see, and this is. And the next step is time to assign the color to the text and also the background. To do that, come over here and run the application. And after that, I'm going to show you how to start working with the common properties. But I got this error. So if you click on it, then we have all of these errors. And these errors are inside the CS, the C# file, and it is over here exactly. So to fix this, I can select all of this and comment them out. To do that, come over here, come to the comment and comment it completely, because we don't want to work with this currently. And come over here and come to this one and run the project from scratch. So this is the, after a couple of seconds, let's see the result. Or if I come to the build, my project currently is building. So let's cancel this. So let's come over here and run the application one more time. And also come over here and select something like this. So it's done. Now I can see something like this over here. Let's start working with the most common properties of the label. It's very simple and straightforward. The next one is the color. So the text color and also the background color. Come over here and easily come to this and write the color. And as you see, I have the text color and the background color. And also you can work with this inside the properties. So I can come here, for instance, select this, come to here and write the color. So I have the background color and also text color. I can select this one, click on the brush and select one text color like this indeed, or the lighter, so it is. And also I can assign the transparency, but it's not useful for changing the text color. So 100 transparency means no transparency, and you can decrease this number, for instance up to 20% the transparency. So let's leave it by default and assign 100, and the result is something like this. So let's delete this part and create. And the next step is time to assign the back color, and you can see the background color over here equals to these predefined colors like this. Or even if I take a look in the properties, and here I have the color and the background color, you can assign any color that you want from here, and the result is something like this. So you are completely free to select your own color, and see the result. So the result is something like this, and also the color code is available over here that you can start changing it by the hashtag, then the color code inside the double quotations. Now this is the background color. And the next one is the font size. So come over here, come to this and say font size. So I have the font size over here. It is the predefined list. For instance, I can select the large, and it should be large, and press the space. So I can select, for instance, the subtitle or the title, and you can see something like this over here. And in the next one, I have the font attributes. So I can say font attributes, and this is the font attributes: bold, italic, none. Let's select the bold. So it is bold text over here. And after that, we have the text transform. So this is the text transform. Equals to what? Equals default lowercase. You can see everything is lowercase, or press a space, come to the uppercase. So I have the uppercase, and finally I can select the default. Now this is the default one. And after this, I have the character spacing. So come over here and say character spacing, and or I can directly write a spacing. So you can see the character spacing over here, and it is the number between each letter or the characters. For instance, I can write 3, and after a couple of seconds you can see 3 units between each character, or write, for instance, 7, and you can see the result over here. Let's write the number 1, so it is normal one, or you can completely delete this tag. Now go to the next one, and the next one is text decoration. So I have the text decoration, you can see it over here, and I have a strike through and underline. If you select underline, now I have the underline over here and the strike through. So this is the result. Let's select the underline, it looks better, I think. And after this, I have the line height. Currently I have only one line over here, so it's not really great idea. Let's increase the letters and say lowered. I'm really happy for .NET Maui. So this is 2 lines. Now I can assign the space between this. Before doing that, come over here and come to the underline and set it to the none. Now I have the line height. So this is the line height. You can see it over here, and I can assign anything that I want. For instance, 2 lines. So everything will be 2 lines. So the line height is 2, and the space is something like this. Or even you can select number 1, and this is number 1, or number 10. So the line height is something like this. Let's select number 2, and it is more space between this. And in the next step, I have the maximum lines. So this is the maximum lines. You can select the maximum lines versus only one line. So it is like this. And my text is incomplete. Or you can select number 3 and 3 lines. Currently my text is only 2 lines. So let's select 2 over here. And after this, I have the horizontal and vertical alignment. So let's start working with the horizontal alignment. Horizontal text alignment equals to what? Equals to versus center. And you can see the center over here. But currently I can't see any changes because we have 2 lines. I can come over here and select this and cut it. Now I have the hello world and I put it to the center. Also, you can select the end or the right side and the start or the left side. Or even I can select the center. It looks better, I think. And after this, I have the vertical text alignment, and align it to the center. So it should be over here. And after that, the start or the top over here. And finally, I have the end, and it is at the bottom over here. Let's set it to the top or start, and this is the start. Congratulations! Now we learned how to work with the first element in the .NET Maui. Go ahead, open up your project, and start working with your own label element. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start working with the entry element. So let's do it. First, we talked about the label and its common properties. So we have something like this. And the next step is time to start working with the entry. The entry is something like the text box that we can write anything inside it. So let's name it entry. You can see the entry over here and the closing tag. If I come over here and come to this one, after adding the entry, we have the error, and I have the error over here. And if you hover on it, the property content is set more than once. You know what? Previously, we talked about how to delete the layout element, something like the stack element over here. After deleting that, we can only add one element inside the XAML. So if you want to add more than one element, you need to use one of the layout elements. Currently, we don't know anything about the layout element. So let's select this and come to the next part and completely comment it like this one. After commenting it, we have something like this over here, the starting point for commenting the element, and this one at the end. You can add it manually, and also you can use the toolbar. So I have the entry, and the most common property of the entry is the text. Let's check the text, and I can write something like this, for instance. So I have the hi over here, and you can see I can come over here and write anything that I want, for instance, this one. So it is completely simple and straightforward. And after that, the second most common property is the placeholder. So this is the placeholder, and please enter the name, and this is the result. Enter the name, and if I click over here and let's select this and delete that entirely and easily, and quickly also come over here and delete that. After that, I can see the placeholder, enter the name over here. And after that, come over here, I can add the next parameter, and it is the placeholder color. So placeholder color over here, and I can use the gray, the silver, or something like that. So come over here and write, for instance, the silver. This is the silver, and select that. So we have something like this over here. Or I can come to this and select the red, for instance, the sea green or other colors. And this is the result. Enter the name. And if you come over here and write something inside it. So we lost the placeholder. And if you delete everything, we have the placeholder over here. And after that, let's select the dark color like the silver, for instance. It's enough. And also you can come to the properties and start working with the color. Let's select this and say the placeholder. This is the placeholder and placeholder color. You can easily select one of these colors based on your needs and select this part, for instance, and select this custom color. And the result is over here. Enter the name and I have the color code. This is R or red, green, and blue. So let's select this and write the silver. This is the result. And after that, I have the maximum. So this is the maximum length, and it is maximum number of the entered characters that you can write inside this. For instance, I can write up to 5 maximum length, and I can only add 5 characters. So this is up to 5 characters over here based on this number. For instance, I can use the 15. Now I can add up to 15 characters like this. And this is really great and amazing. Based on your need, you can change it. After this, I have the is password. So come over here and say is password. And yes, set it to true. Then everything you enter over here will convert to the dot like this. And we have something like this. So come over here. And if I reference this 111, and all of these are 1, but replaced with the dots like this, or it is the asterisk. It's not important matter. Dot or asterisk. And after this, I have the keyboard type. So before doing anything, let's set it to back and false. Set it false. And after that, I have the keyboard type. If you currently click over here, as you see, I have this keyboard over here and I can change it to anything that I want. But we can change this one based on our need. And it is keyboard. This is the keyboard equals. So I can select one of these options. For instance, I want to only write the numeric values. So let's select the numeric. And after that, I have only the numbers over here. Or you can leave it by default. And this is the default. Also, you can select one of these options and the default over here. And the next one is horizontal text alignment. So horizontal text alignment, you can set it to the center and a start. So this is the center, at the center. Then I can set it to the end and the right side over here. Then you can set it to the start or the left side over here. You are completely free to use anything that you want. And after this, I have the text color. So I can say the text color. This is the color and I have the text color. And you can select one of these options, or you can add the hashtag and start writing the codes like this. And you are completely free. And in addition, you can select this, come to the properties and come to this and search the color. So this is the text color. You can select this and select one of these options over here. You are completely free to use anything that you want. Now I have the color over here. And after this, I have another one, and it is the background color. So this is the background color. And also you can assign the background color something like the azure or the beige like this. And as I say, it is from the top up to the end. And after this one, we have the flow direction. So if you want to work with the different languages, this is really great for you. For instance, if you want to work with the left-right languages like the English, the French, for instance, the German, then left-right is great for you. And after that, if you wanna work with the right to left languages, something like the Arabic or the Persian, so select this one, right to left. And as you see, my caret is moved over here. And if I take a look, come over here and select the left right. Now my caret is added over here because we have different languages, and this is the left to right. By default, it is left to right. Well done. Now my mission is accomplished successfully for working with the entry. But you know what? We have many other properties that you can assign it to the entry or the text box from the top up to the end. But the most common properties are all of this. In addition, you can start working with the other one. For instance, if I take a look over here, I have the easy read only. If you check it, you can easily lock your text box or the entry, and also is visible to show and hide the text box. And after that, I have the is enabled to enable or disable the entry. And also I have the font size, the font family. Then we have all the matters that we can select. For instance, the background, you can assign the background. Or if I take a look, I have all of the other properties that you can assign it to the entry limit. It's very simple and straightforward. But I talked about the most common. So let's come over here and let's select this, and it's done. Well done. Now my mission is accomplished. Go ahead, open up your Maui and start working with the entry element. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to start working with the layout system, especially the stack layout. So let's do it. First, we talked about how to add the label and the entry over here. But as I mentioned, we can't add more than one element to the page because we need to add the layout system. The most common layout system is the stack layout. So let's go over here and come to this and also this one. It's very simple and straightforward. A stack layout. You can see the stack layout over here. Close the tag like this and press enter. We need to add any control inside it. So I can come over here and add the label and close the tag and say, for instance, the text equals to what? Equals to the first LBL, and you can see something like this over here. So I can add it, and also I can add the next one or over here and paste it. Now I have the second label, and you can see the first label and second label. And also it's a great idea to assign the back color. So I have the back color, and let's select this. The first one is yellow, I think is good. And after that, if I take a look, the next one I can select the light blue or something like that. Now I have the first label and also second label. And after that, I can add other elements, something like the entry. And you can see this is entry. And let's add some other property like the placeholder. And plus placeholder is the first name. First name. So I have the first name over here and also second label here. In addition, I can add the next one and paste it over here. So this is the first name and the last name. And this is, as you see, the items are aligning in the vertical manner. So if I come over here and come to this one, we can easily change it using the orientation equals to what? By default, it is vertical, and this is the vertical, and I can change it to another one and the horizontal. So after a couple of seconds, everything will be horizontal. But if you can't see the changes over here, this is simple and straightforward. Just add some other property over here, for instance, the spacing or the space between the items, and assign it up to, for instance, 5 units. As you see, everything is changed. Now I have the first label. This is the first name, second label, last label. So this is not really great idea to create something like this. And after that, come over here and click on this and write something inside it. And if you can't click on this or this, it is because of this button. You can see the zoom. Now I have the zoom cursor for zooming the elements and the text or something like that. And if I click on it, everything now is available for working with it. So it's done. Now I have the orientation as the horizontal and spacing up to 5 units. This is the space. So a space between two elements. For better understanding, if I come over here, let's select this and let's select also. Now I have the up to 5 units space. Also, I can change it, for instance, up to 20 like this. So the space is up to 20 units. And also I can come over here and come to this one. In addition, we can add all the child stack layout. So I can come over here, come to this one, and I can say stack layout. This is the stack layout, and add these inside it, cut and paste over here, and also come over here, copy and paste it over here exactly. So I can't see anything here. It means we need to change something over here. Let's write 10. Well done. Now the result is over here. The first, the second, the first, the second. So come over here and select this and say third and also fourth. And this is the result, as you see. And you know what? The spacing in this situation is the space between the first stack and the second stack. And exactly this space is 20. You can change it, for instance, up to 10 or up to 40 like this. And personally, I prefer to use the 10 or 20. You are completely free to do anything that you want. And after this, I can cover here and come to the horizontal and assign it the vertical. So the vertical is over here, as you see, after a couple of seconds. Also, I can change this one to see the result. So it's done. Now I have the space between these vertically, exactly like this one. And after that, inside the layout in this and this, I can assign the dedicated or private orientation. For instance, orientation equals to what? Equals to the horizontal. And this is the result. As you see, this and this is horizontal and is determined by the on stack layout. And this is the result. And also I can come over here and come to the next one and assign the orientation. So this is the orientation and assign it to vertical. As you see, these are vertical by default, and after assigning it, there is no changes. Also, I can come over here and come to this one and assign the dedicated spacing. And this is up to, for instance, 20. So the space is over here up to 20, as you see. And also I can assign the same thing for the second stack layout, and let's assign 10. So the space between these is the 10 unit. Well done. Now we learned many great tips and tricks about the stack layout. So let's select this and comment it out. Where are your comments? This is the comment. And then start designing and creating the data entry form. Stay with me. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how we can design the data entry. It's very simple. At the beginning, let's assign the stack layout. This is, and after that, the title from here up to the end. So I can add the label, and this is the label. And after that, the text of my label. So this is the text equals to what? Equals to please enter the data. And after that, the horizontal text align. And this is the horizontal text. I set it to the center, and this should be over here easily and quickly. And also, it's really great idea to assign another property and dedicated background. So I can say the background color equals to silver, and let's see the result. Let's do it. And this is please enter the data. We can change the text color, or we can come over here and change this one and come to the properties and the background. This is the background color. Click on it and use the lighter color like this, and it looks better now. Now I have the label. In the next step, it's time to add another label, but the simple label. So come over here and add the label and the text for that. So the text equals to what? Equals to the full name, and this is the full name. Now I have the full name over here, and after that I have the entry. So let's add the entry and assign the placeholder for that. First we talked about the placeholder and how to work with it, and this is the full name. So I have the full name over here, then the full name at the top. Now let's come over here and come to this and copy this part, the label, full name, and paste over here and also over here. So this is the full name, then the full name. The next one is the email and the email. And after that, if I take a look, this is the address and the address, the next one over here. If I take a look, let's select this and the address. Let's select this and the address. So I have the full name over here. I can easily start writing anything inside it. And also I have the email. So this is the result. And also I have the address over here to write inside it. In addition, I can come over here and this is the email. So I can change the type of the text. Now this is the email and the entry over here. I can come over here and assign the keyboard. So this is the keyboard. For instance, I want to assign the email. I can easily select the email, then come over here, and if you click on this, so I haven't the @ sign over here, and also if I click on this, I have the @ sign for the email field or data entry. And also we can come over here and select this and add another data entries, something like the tail number or cell number or the cell indeed. This is the cell and the address is cell number like this. Now I have the cell over here and also the cell number exactly here. So if I click over here and the next one, the email, so I have the @ sign, then I have the address and I have the cell or the cell number. Well, now my mission is accomplished. Go ahead, open up your project and start designing your own first data entry form. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to quickly talk about how to start working with the vertical stack layout and horizontal stack layout. So let's do it. Firstly, we talked about the stack layout, and as I mentioned, if you want to add more than one element on your page, you need to add at least one layout element. And the most common is a stack layout. And currently I have the stack layout and orientation equals to vertical. Instead of using this, we can use another layout element, and it is vertical stack layout, and this is the result. But as I mentioned previously, this is the error, and if I hover on it, the property content is set more than once. It means if you haven't any stack layout, then you can't add more than one element on the page. So I have two stack panels, this and this. So it means you need to comment this out, and let's comment everything is done. Now I haven't any result, and I can start working with the same thing like my previous project. I can come over here and come to this one, copy and paste it over here. So the same result will be available for you. So we don't need to assign any orientation over here. We directly use the vertical stack layout. And also sometimes we want to use this orientation as the horizontal. To do that, we can have the horizontal stack layout, and I can select that and come over here, select this and comment. And after that, I have the horizontal stack layout. For instance, I want to add the label full name and the full name over here. So let's copy and paste it exactly here. Now I have the full name, and you can see the full name over here, and it is the placeholder. And after that, the full name text like this. And if I add semicolon, it looks better now. Now let's come over here, and this is the text box and also the data entry. But these aren't in the same line. We can easily fix it. At the beginning, let's add some background to this and say the background color to the page, for instance. And after that, let's assign the background color for the next one and assign the, for instance, the Azure or something like that. So this is the Azure. And currently I have the height as the full screen height from the top up to the bottom of the page. Instead of that, we can easily assign another property, and the property is the height. So this is the height request, and up to, for instance, 50 or something like that. As I said, this is the 50, and after that assign the same thing to the next one. And if I come over here, this is the result. I have the height request for the second one. Now these are over here. In the next step, I want to put them in the top of the page. To do that, let's say the vertical option, and this is the vertical option, and I have the end center field start. I want to put this at the top of page, so let's select the start, and this is the result. And after that, we need to align this at the center. It's very simple. Just come over here and come to the label and assign the vertical text alignment and set it to the center. This is the center, and it is exactly like the next one. And after that, we can increase the width of the full name. This is the full name, and I can easily come over here and say the width request equals, for instance, up to 450 or something like that. Or I can decrease this number up to 400. And after this, I can decrease this up to 300. You are completely free, so 300 is really great for me. Now I have the full name, and the full name is over here. Also, you can design something like this in another manner, but in this video I want to just talk about the horizontal stack layout and the vertical stack layout. Go ahead, open up your project and start working with the horizontal and vertical stack layout. Thanks, and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start working with the margin and padding in the project. So let's do it. First, we talked about how to design something like this, and we learned many great tips and tricks. Now, if I take a look over here, there is another properties that are really practical and amazing, and they are margin and padding. What is the margin? The margin is the space between the border of the element to other control, and the orange area is the margin, and the padding is the space between the border and the text or internal of each element. So the green space is padding. And we have four different margins: the margin left, the margin top, margin right, and also margin bottom. If you write the margin equals 20, it means you did assign the same or equal margins to all of this: left, top, right, bottom. You can see the left, the top, right, and bottom. And also we can write individually. For instance, margin equals 10, 20, 30, 40. The 10 for the left margin, 20 to the top margin, 30 is for the right margin, and also 40 is bottom margin. And also we have the similar to this for the padding. You can see the padding over here, and it is up to 20 units for all of the paddings: padding left, top, right, bottom. Or we can use individual numbers for the padding, the 10 for the left, top, right, and bottom. Now we learned more about the margin and padding, and don't forget the outer space is margin and the inner space is the green and padding over here. Well done. Now we learned many great tips and tricks. Let's use it in our project. To do that, come over here and open up the project. I have the vertical stack layout. So let's come over here, select this and make it comment, and let's uncomment this. Now if I take a look, I have all of this over here. But if I take a look, we haven't any space between the text to the border. And also we haven't any margin and outer space. So it's really simple and straightforward to assign the margin and padding. This is working with the margin. Come over here. This is my vertical stack layout. And I can easily say the margin. You can see the margin over here. And write, for instance, 20. So the result is the 20 for here, here, and here. Or I can come over here and let's assign the background color and say background color equals to the Azure, and this is the Azure. And as you see, I have the same margin here, here, top, and the bottom. But it's a really great idea adding another layout to get access to all the area. So I come over here and I can easily add the parent layout system and the layout, stack layout, and let's select this and paste it over here easily and quickly. Now I have the green space here and the bottom space over here. So currently I can identify the top margin and also bottom margin. It's very simple and straightforward. Just come over here and select the stack layout and assign the background color for that. This is the background color and the yellow, for instance. This is the yellow. As you see, it is full screen and it is from the top up to the bottom. Now this simple and empty space over here, here, and here, and also at the footer, all of these are the margins. Indeed, the space between the border of the element to the border of the parent, or all the elements. And in the next step, it's really great idea to talk about the padding. As I mentioned previously, the padding is something like the margins, and we have two methods for writing it. First, only one number for all of the padding, and after that I can assign the dedicated number for each padding like this. Let's do it. Come over here and come to this one. This is the margin and it is inside the vertical stack layout. Let's come over here and say padding. This is my padding equals to, for instance, 20. So let's see the result. As you see, I have 20 here, here at the bottom, and also at the right side, starting from the left, top, right, and bottom. Or even I can use the custom value for each padding. To do that, come over here. The first one is the left, so add the next one, and it is, for instance, 25, like this. And after that, I have the right side, and it should be 20 because the left side is 20. And after that, I can use 25 for this part, and as you see, it's done. Or even you can write 35. You are completely free to write anything that you want. Now this was about the padding. Also, we have the same structure for the margin if we need that. Now it's time to add the padding and margin for all of this. Let's start working with the title. Please enter the data. I want to add a kind of the padding and also the margin. So let's come over here. This is my label. Please enter the data, text alignment, and come to the next one exactly over here. So let's come over here and let's format it like this. And in the next step, it's time to add the padding. So let's write padding equals to what? Equals up to 20. So the result is something like this, or I can increase its number up to 15. So it's done. Now the 15 is enough, I think. Or even I can come to this and assign the number 10. So it looks great and amazing. And the next step is time to add the space between the full name and this one. To do that, we can easily add the bottom margin to this one. So I can come over here and say the margin and assign the one by one. Assign to the left 0, assign to the next one, and it is top 0, and after that the left is 0, but the bottom is up to 10. And as you see, the full name is at the bottom, and this is the margin of this label. So in the next step, let's talk about the space for the full name entry. So the full name entry, and you can see the full name entry over here, and easily add the margin, and come over here and say margin, and my margin should be only for the bottom. So let's come over here and say 0, 0, 0, and 10, for instance. And it's done. Now I have more space between this and this one. And also we need to copy that and paste it over here for the next one. And next one is indeed the entry. And come over here and paste it exactly here. Now I have more space exactly over here. And finally, for the address entry, I can add the same thing. Now it looks better and amazing. Well done. Now my data entry form is accomplished successfully. But the yellow color should not be over here. So come over here and write the white. And this is the white, exactly like this. And after that, we can change the Azure for this and use all the color. Something like the silver, and then the silver over here. Or even let's select this, come to the properties, generate the new color. So this is background color. Click on it, come to this, and make it lighter. So let's select this and make it lighter, exactly like this one. And also I can change this one, but it's not necessary, and also we can make it a little bit lighter. So it's done, and the next one, and the next, and a little bit down to over here, and this is the result. So it looks better. Now I have the data entry form. Go ahead, open up your project and start working with the margin and padding to format your own data entry form. Thanks, and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start working with the button element inside the .NET Maui. So let's see. First, we talked about how to use the label and also the entry. And we learned many great tips and tricks about the margin and padding. So currently, I assume that you watched my previous tutorials, then you are ready to learn this video. So let's come over here and at the end over here. I can easily add the button. So this is the button and close the tag. And the most common property is the text. So this is the text equals to what? Equals to the same. And the result is like this. And the next step is time to change the background color. So I can say background color and equals to what? Equals to one of these colors, for instance, the blue and the blue violet. And the result is something like this. Or even you can come to the properties and the button is selected. Check this one. And after that, I have the background color. So you can see the background color over here and click on the second one and start designing the background color. So this is the background color. The result is over here. R, red, G, B, red, green, blue. So come here and come to the next property. And the next step is time to assign the text color. So I have the text color. You can see the text color over here, and I can use, for instance, yellow. So this is yellow, and it looks something like this. Or I can come over here and use the white. This is the white, and you can see the white over here. And after this, I have the border color. So this is the border color, and you can assign the border color for that. For instance, I can come to the black. This is the black, and in the next step, let's come to the border, and it is border with select this up to, for instance, 3. So you can see the 3 over here up to the end. And if I take 1, for instance, it looks better and now. And after this, I have the height request. I can easily change the height by the height request. This is the height request, and I can assign, for instance, 80. So this is 80 or the 40, and you can see the 40 over here. Then I can add the is enabled to enable or disable. So let's write is enabled equals true or false. Let's disable this button, and the result is like this. I can't click on this button anymore. So this is a really important matter. So if I click over here, nothing happened, and I have the is enabled. And after that, it's time to assign the next one, and it is enabled. So this is enabled, and I can assign the value to that. So come to the properties, and I have the is enabled. You can see the is enabled over here. After that is visible, so I can set it as true or uncheck this to assign the false. Now let's come over here and come to this one is visible. So my button now is hidden, and I can't see any button over here. And this is really tricky note. So come over here and assign the true, and the result is this. You can see the button over here, and also this is enabled to set it to true. And for the next and final property, let's use the flow direction. Flow direction is really great idea when you want to work with the right to left languages or left to right languages. So I have the left to right for the English, French, German, and all the left to right languages, and I can select the right to left for the languages such as the Arabic and the Persian. You can use this one. Currently, my project language is the left right. So let's come over here and say left to right easily and quickly. Now my button is available for me, and I can click on it without any problem. So come over here and click on this. And in the next step, it's a great idea to write some code to show a message after clicking on the save button. Now let's come over here and add the name. Before doing any click on the button, don't hesitate to assign the name for this. So this is the X, and the name equals to what? Equals to the save, for instance, btn. Btn stands for button. Don't forget to assign the X name to that. It's really important part. But I got this error, X name. You can see reload your app to fix this error. To fix this, come over here and come to the hot reload button. You can save it or click the hot reload. Now my error is accomplished successfully. And after assigning the name, I can easily add the click event. So I can say clicked and equals to what? New event handler or on counter click. Let's add the new event handler. So say button on the clicked. Now if I take a look over here, as you see, I have the say button click event over here. And if I take a look in the XAML, let's save everything and hot reload. And let's check the result. So it's done. Now come over here, and I have the save button click over here. So let's write display alert, and the display alert over here at parentheses, and at the first step I have the title as a string, and I can say, for instance, alert, and after that at comma, then I have the message that we're gonna show it to the user. So come over here and say it's done, and this one. And finally, I have the third parameter, and as you see, the text to display on the cancel button. Let's go over here and assign, for instance, OK. And this is the OK, and don't forget to add the semicolon. Now let's save everything and hot reload and check the result. Come over here and click on this. So it's done and alert. Congratulations, we did it. Now I have the OK button over here and all of this. So it's working without any problem. Okay, I enjoyed a lot. Now we learned many great tips and tricks and the usages of the button. You can start working with it everywhere that you want. Go ahead, open up your project and start working with it. Thanks and thanks goodness.